Hello, I'm here with G3, and thank you so much for having a conversation with me. And I'm gonna find out exactly when we met in this conversation.
Hello, At.
Hi. I'm in Thailand and you're in the Philippines,
I'm in the Philippines.
and we're only an hour apart, which is pretty cool. So
Very cool.
how can you tell me like how did you end up being, a journalist, a writer, an editor? Was it something that you've always wanted to be?
First of all, I want to say that you're a big part of my teenage years.
No.
Channel V, VJ George.
DJ George. Well, I was with MTV, but when we look back, like Channel V and MTV, everything is kind of like just bunched
Yeah.
up when we look at that generation. So
And
VJ,
then you had this segment called Bangkok Jams.
oh my God. Oh my God. I just had this talk with a friend because I was saying the reason I ended up in Singapore was because of Bangkok Jam. Because Bangkok Jam,
Yeah,
at the time, the rating was off the roof to the point that the boss
right.
in Singapore were thinking like, okay, well, maybe we need to look into having this dude from Thailand come over to Singapore because of that one show, Bangkok Jam. I can't believe
Right.
you remember that show.
Of course, that's where I know you from. And some years later, when I started working in entertainment, I was pretty much into the beauty pageant scene. And my boss at the time, he goes, "Who's a great host for Miss Earth?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, I know a guy." And he
Oh,
is from Bangkok. And we flew you in, and you hosted the Miss
yes,
Earth pageant for that year. That's where we know each other.
yes. I okay. I think, and we also have pictures. I re
We do, we
I
do.
okay. Yes. Okay. Now everything is connected. I can connect the dots together. It was in 2007.
Oh my
Um,
God, you know the year.
yeah. Well, now like
Okay.
you pretty much like kind of opened up the the memory box. It was in 2007. Yes. Yes, I remember that year, and now I remember. This is so cool.
That's correct. That's correct. 2007 Miss Earth pageant, and you were a host, and we flew you in. And yeah, that's how we met.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. That's so cool. Um, yeah, and that's what I was like kind of confused because we're following each other, and I'm like, G looks so familiar, but I couldn't connect until now. So thank you for, for
Yeah.
reminding me how we met.
Reminding you.
Yeah, and now things are like I just feel I should have done this a long time ago. I don't know why I just started, but there's no better time than now, and the world's
That's true.
so much closer, so much smaller, and we can connect instantly. And I think like there's like there's like crosses with everything, with Thai celebrities um being quite popular in the Philippines, and like for me myself being exposed in the Philippines, having gone to Manila quite a bit during my MTV days. So there's like a lot of things I missed. So that's why I wanted to reach out and just have a conversation with you. So okay, since we've made that connection
Yes.
already, so tell me, did did you always want to be a journalist?
I never really thought of being a journalist as a career, but when
Uh-huh.
I was in high school, I have this teacher, and we love our high school teachers, right? So she goes, "You have to write a journal, and then I'm gonna grade it." And of course, if something is graded, I was very studious as a kid, as a student. So I started journaling, and I would submit it to her the next day, and she would grade it. And I would, think of, stories to write. That actually happened to me, but it was something more of a description. It was more creative in terms of description. It was creative writing. So I began to love writing since then, and I never knew it was going to be a career for me. But in college, I started submitting articles to magazines, and that's how it started.
Oh
So basically
wow.
that.
Oh, so
Yeah.
basically your teacher actually kind of ignited that little spark,
That's
and then
true.
that
Yeah,
was
that's
just
true.
part of your career because like you do a number of different things. So fast forward to now, I mean, was how I mean like were you affected during the last few years with the
Definitely, definitely. Especially when they said that, entertainment was not an essential career, right? We're
right?
non-essential. We were considered non-essential. But then again, I felt like looking back during the past 2 years or during the height of the pandemic, everyone was confined to their homes and everyone is, just, sort of tuned into, their television or their computers. And, you know, looking back, I wouldn't have survived if I didn't watch those series or movies. And writing is a big part of that. So I feel like it was very essential as well. And now, of course, that the world is opening up, I think that what changed essentially is content has become more democratic. Like anybody can now create content, post their content online. You don't necessarily have to be in a big network or like in MTV, to be able to tell your story. You can tell your story in vlogs and stuff like this.
How do you feel about that? Because I mean, if you've watched me since Bangkok Jam, like you know
That ages us. That ages us.
that ages me. You actually look young. That ages me. How do you think that changes in the times? What's your perception on it with the fact that
Oh, most definitely, most definitely. I think, what the pandemic essentially did is, it uh, hastened the move to digital. Like I think, it really just sped up the process. I think that's where we were going in terms of, broadcast media and television and, traditional media. It really just, sped up the process of the move to uh, digital. I think now content is more ubiquitous. You can look anywhere. Everyone's on their phones, obviously, and you consume your content through your phone more than on your TV or more than on your computer because everyone's so mobile. So I think, the difference is now that, everything is more mobile and everything is digital, everyone can now contribute in their own special way and their own way. They can tell their stories and you don't really need the backing of a major studio like we did before. Before it was just, especially in the Philippines, it was just like two major studios and those were the ones that controlled the content that the moviegoers or the TV goers consume. But now we have vloggers, we have all sorts of content creators, and it's really a lot. And you just choose the ones that you like, and I think it's a healthy way of just putting out your story.
so you see it from a healthy point of view. I find a lot of
Yeah,
parallels between like the Filipino market and the Thai market when I to
true.
go there because the population is huge. So here in Thailand, like the amount of new influencers or the average person doing content is just crazy to the point that um on like if it's my opinion on it on the like the negative side of it, you have a lot of vulgarity, a lot of like a lot of
Yeah,
vulgarity, a lot of like nonsense content that is extremely popular in the mass market.
right.
Is it the same in the Philippines?
It's the same in the Philippines. You watch a lot of nonsense, and it sometimes dulls your brain, and it's sometimes but it's a lot of mindless thinking. But I feel like as a consumer, as a content consumer, you choose the ones that appeal to you, right? I mean, sometimes it's your guilty pleasure just watching vloggers, just go about their day and talk about nonsense, and sometimes it's more meaningful, like still created content or content that was written by a screenwriter and they show it now in this new platform like YouTube series and stuff like that. But it's true there's some negative aspects to it, but I choose to look at it in a positive light. Like I said, it's a democracy now, like anybody can create content now.
That's a great like perception that you have, that to turn like sort of like like a negative like kind of perception into like a positive one where it's like
Right.
you have a mix of anything you want to watch. This is like just like us having a conversation. It doesn't have to be nonsense, but then people can pick to watch it or not. So
Yeah.
that's a good take on it. I guess like if we look at it back then, it's like the media was more controlled and more managed.
Right.
Whereas now, like,
And monopolized, yeah.
and in the sense that if it's monopolized, you don't have access to information that you want to have. You might not
Right.
be able to educate yourselves in areas that you want to. So now you have all that, but it's just a matter of like you picking and choosing. What are your thoughts with the younger generation, with like with children coming into the digital transformation age, the digital age, and having access to a lot of different types of content? Do you think there
I
should be
think the
restrictions?
danger here, I think the danger here is mostly, they're not old enough to decide which ones are true and which ones are not. Especially in the Philippines, there is like a very, very, there's a big influx of fake news, and that's very dangerous, especially in terms of, the political setup in the Philippines. I think it was quite evident in the last election. So I think when you're very young and you're idealistic and you're still, you're not very sure of what to believe in, anything that you see online is Bible truth, right? As long as somebody that you admire speaks it, then it becomes Bible truth, as opposed to the time before the digital revolution, where you get all your sources from credible news organizations. Now anyone can say, like, this fact is true, this fact is true, and you sort of tend to believe them because they have a million followers, or because they're very popular, or because they're nice to look at, as opposed to before everything was vetted, everything was double checked. But I think that's really the downside of, the digital information that's out there online. It's forever. It's already there. It's forever. So I think, as young people, you should have, like, people that are older than you to guide you, to tell you which ones are really, really credible and which ones are, sort of needs a fact checking. So I think that's a danger for young people who are, very, very savvy online. It's really identifying which ones are authentic and which ones are not.
So basically, we live in a more democratic media landscape, but compared to the past where it's more monopolized, but there was more of a standard in what was released
Right.
to the population. So I guess like each generation that we move into, there's always going to be the pros and the cons
That's true.
that we need to balance out. So
That's
if we
true.
take this personal, like what has been like pain points for yourself as a journalist? Like any key things that you find that is a misconception of being a journalist? Like anything that's
I
been
think
difficult for you?
the key, right. I think the key takeaway, because I'm a magazine editor now, and I didn't want, when they asked me to join the magazine, and a lot of entertainment magazines in the Philippines, they thrive on gossip, they thrive on promotions, things that are clickbait. But like when I joined the magazine, in the height of the pandemic, which was 2 years ago, I think my point was, I think we really have to get it from the source, straight from the horse's mouth. So basically, what we do is we do a profile every month of a celebrity that is relevant in the Philippines, or somebody that is making waves somehow. And we get the story straight from them. And I try to write a story that is as truthful as it is fair to them. And we go straight to the consumer online, and it's still in print somehow. So I think, that was really, really the idea behind it, to get celebrity stories, revelations from the celebrity itself, because it's easy to get secondhand information. And then somewhere something gets lost in that translation, and it easily becomes gossip. So I think credibility was the first thing that was very important to me. And, the only way to be credible is to really go straight to the source. And, in the pandemic, I also lost my job. I work in a network, and my network closed down because of Congress and other factors. And because, we really weren't, being helped by the government. But then I go, like, what am I going to do with all this time that I have? And then all of a sudden, you have this tool called social media, called Instagram. And then they have Instagram live. So I go, like, okay, why don't I go live on Instagram, just share my thoughts? And because I worked in the industry for so long, 17 years in total behind the camera, I've made some friends. I've had some goodwill. I've written roles. I've written parts for actors and actresses that, earned them Best Actor and Best Actress
Wow.
trophies, and maybe a hit show left and right, or a variety or a beauty pageant like we worked on before, or something. I've written every single genre, from beauty pageants to variety shows to teleseries and everything. So the people that I've worked with sort of, became friends of mine. And, in the pandemic, I sort of, launched my online TV show, which is called Live with G3. And it was just a very, very casual way of, showing the human side of the celebrities. So I would converse with celebrities. I would encourage them to drink. And everybody at the time, everybody was just at home. Like everybody was bored. So yeah, the thing with talking to celebrities is, when you give them a platform and when you give them something to drink, they're gonna open up to you,
Oh
especially if
yeah,
they
there.
know that you're a friend.
I've always wanted like I've always wanted to do content like that, but I think there's just
Yeah,
sensitivities here where I'm at, where as a celebrity, as a public persona, we're not able to touch anything that's alcoholic because
that's true. That's true.
yeah. So
There's a lot
so
of restrictions.
so I take it as like we can drink over apple juice or like grape juice.
Yes, this is apple juice, but further along in the show, and I had sponsors coming in already. I had like Moet already, and they would encourage us to drink, obviously. And there are celebrities that are not afraid of saying that, yeah, I drink champagne. There's nothing wrong with that. But I was able to do 100 episodes of that with 100 celebrities in the Philippines. Can you believe it? Like I didn't know that when I started it, I didn't know that anyone was gonna listen to it, let alone give me a chance to come into their cell phones and stuff like that. But that opened a lot of doors for me. And now I'm actually, after 19 years of being behind the camera, I'm finally gonna launch my first show where I'm like you, like I'm gonna be a host, and it's gonna start next week.
What? No way.
Yeah, yeah.
And is
It's
the
it's true.
show
It's true.
will the show be the
It's a
same
it's a
name?
talk show.
Is it the
No,
same?
it's a talk show. It's a talk show with two very, very well-established broadcast journalists in the Philippines and two very, very seasoned comedians. So
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
sort of the new I'm
Uh,
sort of the newbie, and it's quite surreal because I've worked with these people only that I was working for them. Now I'm actually working alongside them, and it's quite funny if you come to think of it.
oh, I'm so happy for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think where we are now as well with the pandemic and like with the digital transformation and the landscape that has changed is that you have a lot of people here in Thailand as well who used to
You're
be
right.
the ones supporting like in the background who are now in the forefront because now I think that's sort of the testament of like how it's more democratic. It's like everyone is able to have a platform. And I think when you have
That's
like
true.
a shared platform, you get different types of insights, and it just makes it
Yeah.
more. It makes it makes it more interesting and more fun. So, oh, man, I want to watch it.
I'll send you a link. I'll send you.
Yeah, send me a
But I
link.
think I think you also want to talk about, the cross
Yes,
cultural,
yes,
of like the Bangkok and the
yes.
Manila. Yeah, I know that you want to get into that as well. I know that we digressed so far already.
Well, I'm like, this is just very comfortable. I just started to just have
Yeah.
conversations and connect with people everywhere. But yeah, that it's definitely one of my questions that I have because given that I was able to have my experience in the Philippines, having hosted Miss Earth and then being on the MTV platform, and now I see
Right.
the younger generation of like of Thais who are on TV series and they have expanded out of Thailand, and a lot of them, some of them are like quite well known in the Philippines. So my question is like, what from your perspective, why is it that Thai celebrities are able to cross over into the Philippine in the Filipino market?
Very, very successfully, I might add. First of all, I think because we look like each other. I think
That's
it's not
true.
a far cry. I
That's
think
true.
that because we have dark hair and we have like fair skin and stuff like that. I think, but that's just scratching the surface. But more importantly, I think Thai actors and actresses, and Thai stories are stories that, we aspire to as Filipinos. Like, I very well know that in the pandemic, all of us here in the Philippines watched together the series. And, we didn't have anything like that in the Philippines. Gay teens and, the gay youth, the LGBT youth, we never had anything like that on our own, TV screen. So we had to refer to other cultures who are more progressive in terms of, storytelling and more daring in terms of, telling love stories that are not of the norm. So I think, the appeal of the Thai actors and the Thai TV shows from the very beginning. I mean, like from Mario Morera, Love of Siam. I mean, like when I saw that, I think I was in grade school. And I think we never had that in the Philippines. And because, the success of Together was so widespread and everybody in the Philippines and watched it, it gave birth to our very own BL series in the Philippines, like not less than three. There are
Oh,
more than like four BL series now in the Philippines because of Together. I mean, like I remember even I was hooked. I was waiting on YouTube like weekly because I would
right.
release episodes weekly, right? But I remember that it like blew up in the Philippines. Like everyone I was talking to saying, "Yeah, have you watched Together?" I mean, what's Together? And then when I started watching it, I was so hooked. And it doesn't matter that it's about two gay boys. The themes of love, first love, and falling in love in high school is very universal. That it appealed to every single gender in the Philippines. I mean, it cut across all stereotypes and stuff like that, and so it became very successful. So we're still waiting for those two guys to come to the Philippines, including you. You have to come to the Philippines. You have to host them, and I think that's really, I think that's the cross appeal of Thai actors to the Philippines. And, maybe someday we're able to also export our actors to Thailand. But I know that, Mario Morero is very successful also in the Philippines. We had a movie like in the studio that I worked for. We made a movie with him and Erich Gonzalez. And he came here, we did the promo, and such a sweet guy. And, I think it's really mainly because the Thai has, been a front runner in telling stories that we weren't able to tell before. So it's the Thai actor is sort of a pioneer in terms of that, like starting stories that, we are able to, if the masses in the Philippines can accept stories from Thailand that are of a different theme or something that's, we've never seen before, then why don't we as Filipino creators also create something like that?
I think this is the first time where I have such an insight as to why. Um, and it's very eye-opening. Now I see it. Now I
Yeah.
vividly, clearly see, oh, it's because in terms of creativity, like we were here in Thailand, we're a bit more daring in our story.
Right.
And then in the way it has opened up the Philippines to be able to kind of follow suit. And the fact that, like you said, we have the same appeal in terms of how we look and everything. So I'm
Yeah.
oh wow, okay. I totally get it. I totally get it. I think what you were explaining, how you felt you felt connected and how the story resonated. I think it was the same in Thailand as well, because given that we were going into COVID, and then I think people were distressed and they were
Right.
and then people were scared, they were in a panic. So for them to just watch something that was light and
Light.
universal,
Yeah.
yeah, that was just kind of like light, universal, and it wasn't so stereotypical as well. Let me clarify for a lot of people out there who don't know what BL stands for. It's like it's boy love series, and I think
Yeah.
the typical stereotype for like the boy love, or like a gay series, is like one would be quite feminine and one would be quite masculine. But I think the new wave of series, boy love series, it's like it's just two guys who are
Right.
there's no femininity, there's no masculinity. It's just kind of like very just it's just very what it is. So I think that's why people, women, men overall, can just like kind of connect
That's
to
true.
the story.
And this is a personal insight watching Together. I felt like, the support cast, everyone that's around the couple, treated it very normally.
Yeah,
Otherwise, in the Philippines, they would they would tease you and they would make a big deal out of it. But in the series, the way the other high school students, and even the sport cast, treated it was very normal. So everybody now thinks that it's very normal, which is true. It's very normal. So I think that made a big difference. The way the director treated it, as it was just a normal coming
Yeah.
of age love story. So it made a very, very huge ripple on the Philippines. And as a result, I even wrote a BL series here now in the
Really?
Philippines in the pandemic. Yeah, I did. I did. I
Wow.
did. I did. It wasn't as widely received, but it made a mark.
But
That's what
it
I'm trying to say. It
ignited.
opened doors. And yeah, it ignited, exactly. It ignited, it galvanized like sort of a movement, even from the major studios in the Philippines that were very quite wary before. We're not going to put something out there that's going to promote something that's against our religion or stuff like that. But now they become more open. I think it essentially did is open our eyes to the fact that love cuts across every single boundary, every single misconceived notion as
Yeah.
before. So I think that's what I think that's what Thai series does for us in the Philippines. Like you're sort of a step ahead in some way, because you're, like you said, you're more daring, you're more creative in terms of tackling subject matter like this. But again, it's universal, so that's why it resonates to all of us, because it's love is such a universal feeling. So whatever Thai actor you put there, and given that we look so much alike and we're very close as neighbors, so it sort of makes it very successful.
I think like hearing all this, it's going to be just a matter of time when there's going to be the cross. I think it's just a matter of time, because like if the Philippines are slowly just like behind in
Mm,
ties in creating content, I think once it catches up, then the potential of having Filipino artists crossing over is just going to be a matter of time. This actually brings me back. There's a few years ago, which I'm just going to share with you. Not a few years, like quite some time. I ended up working behind the scenes, and at times when you don't see me in front of the camera because I'm producing or working for like
mm.
corporate or companies. So I was working for an English speaking channel at one point in time, which was trying to pioneer like the first English Thai speaking English channel in the Thai market. And I had to bring in like a pool of hosts. But one of the hosts that I brought in was actually half Filipino.
Nice.
And I remember vividly that my bosses were saying, "Why are you picking her? She's not Thai." At first, they didn't even know she wasn't Thai because she looked half Thai. And then when they saw her, like, because she couldn't speak Thai, they're like, "Wait, but she's Filipino." And well, you didn't even know she was Filipino. I'm like, we're kind of moving into new times, and we need to have like a mix, because if we move forward,
Right.
we're going to have to be able to be cross-cultural. So I was like I was like, this is like a little proud moment for myself, where I was able to bring on like a Filipino into the mix of hosts that I had at the time. And I really hope that in time that's going to slowly expand in the future. So then we can have much more cross content with one another.
Yeah, we can do a show together maybe in the future.
Let's write something together.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, give me 5 on that. All right, it's a deal.
There. High five. It's a
There we
deal.
go. Well, okay. Well, my conversations are pretty just like, on the fly, very short. So do you have any questions for me before we end the session?
I want to ask you, like, of course, diba, like you're not aware of you being so instrumental, in shaping, people's days. Like with mine, I felt like you had such a great impact on me growing up. I just remember you being so talkative and stuff, and you'd remove all my stress from my school days. Do you ever miss it, presenting like music videos and stuff?
I do, and I think that's part of why I decided to to start something, because I feel with the times that have changed, we the music channel platform doesn't
Yeah,
exist anymore,
it
but
doesn't exist. Yeah.
I exist, and my talkative nature still exists. my nature in connecting with people exists. And then part of this connection is because I feel now I kind of know where my voice is, because I think for a while being back in Thailand, having been away from Thailand, it was more of me trying to reconnect to the market. And now I
Mm-hmm.
realized there was like a huge chapter in my life where I was outside the market. And now that I'm back in the market, I am like I can reconnect to the roots of me having been out of the market to some way go back and bridge with people who I've like connected with. It's similar to what you were telling me through your career and the people that you've worked with throughout your chapters in your career where you were able to reconnect during COVID. So it's sort of the same for me right now. It's kind of reconnecting, and through this reconnection, I feel, we're gonna bridge. It's a way to bridge
All right.
yeah, to bridge and expose the people in Thailand to see other people outside the market and stuff like that. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, I miss it, and that's why I'm talking to you.
I miss it too. I miss it too. I remember the times when times were so much simpler and you would just watch, the new MTV. Like I know that Taylor Swift has a new album out and I can only see it on YouTube. But I was like, oh, I miss the days when the VJs would introduce the music videos and they would have their little bits and stuff like that before the music video actually comes on.
Oh
And
yeah.
those were the times when only the two of us can probably remember, like, the MTV days when, you had VJs and stuff. I'm sure like the generation of now, the Gen Z generation, don't even know what a VJ means. But back then it was like, the holy grail of what's cool.
Well,
It was a
I
holy guy. So
I
I would
compare
always
like
look at what you
we're like mini rock stars, like DJs. That's who like
right,
yeah.
right.
So
And you had such cool hair, and I would always look at what you were wearing, like what shirt you were wearing. Like this guy is so cool. Unless he doesn't stop talking.
and it was so cool like being able to travel, because like being part of MTV Asia, it's like there was events all the time. It's like, constantly in and out of Manila, the Philippines,
Yeah.
going to Malaysia, going to Bali, going to Indonesia. And I just had like a catch up with like a local hip hop artist, like, who's old school. And we were just talking about how what's missing now is that community. It's like now you have events are coming back, you have artists going out to
Right.
events, but they just go, they do their set and they leave. Where before, when you had like the music channel, there was that whole community. So
Right.
yeah, but
It actually makes me feel good that only a few of us know what that was about. I think it was a time when a generation really, really cared about music. Not that, this generation doesn't care about music, but that was a time when everything was, like paramount. Like, everything was so cool. Like everything anyone did over at MTV was cool.
that's true. And
Right.
I definitely miss it, but you can't take the out of wait, the MTV out of or out of MTV. I don't know how it goes, but anyways, um, it's something that we'll always remember, and it's about connecting and just kind of bridging now. So I'm gonna close off this session so I don't make it long-winded
Thank
for the people
you.
watching. Thank you, G3, who's not in San Diego.
Thanks, At. That's so funny.
I actually thought San Diego was where G3 lived. It's actually G3's last name. So that was
To
just a
be fair, I have a grandmother in San Diego, so it's not a far cry.
okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, At.